ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste, my dear friends. I am going to make videos on Sri Guru Charitra. Sri Guru Charitra is a holy granth on incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Shiva and Brahma. So Guru Dattatreya is incarnation of Trinity. Doing Parayan of Guru Charitra is the most important sadhana for the devotees who wants to realize their real self and thereby want to achieve salvation. Guru Charitra is a pious and holy grantham book in OV form of Marathi. This is written by Sri Saraswati Gangadhar. It has arisen from the conversation between Guru Siddha and disciple Namdharak. The original text recount in 53 chapters the life and teachings of the two incarnations in about 7,000 verses. In the late 19th century, Paramahansa Privrajacharya Srimad Vasudevanand Saraswati Swami Maharaj, a famous saint of the Dattatreya tradition, translated the work in Sanskrit verses of equal number. Later, he was told in a vision by Lord Dattatreya that details pertaining to matters of Hindu religious ritual have infringed on proper theme of work and was directed to abbreviate it into 2000 verses and popularly known as Samhitayana Gurudvi Sahasri. Several miraculous deeds are associated with these two gurus. 5 such deeds are relating to Sripad Sri Vallabh, chapters 5 to 10, and 26 are related to Sri Narsimha Saraswati, chapters 11 to 51. Besides, many mythological Puranic tales have also been narrated in this volume by way of illustration. Many Gurudev Datta devotees perform prayana, read it in 7 days many times during the year. Concentration, devotion, and faith on this Grantham results in removing all difficulties, sorrow, poverty, and bless devotees with peace, happiness, and all sorts of wealth after performing the prayana. Like all epics in Sri Guru Charitra too, there are stories within stories and more stories. The narration includes anecdotes from the lives of Lord Dattatreya and his incarnations. This volume is regarded as divine, capable of blessing one, and all who read it with respect, and is placed with images of gods and adored in almost all devotees' houses of Maharashtra. It is much respected and is very popular like Vedas, Ramayana, Mahabharat, Bhagavad and other Puranas in Sanskrit, and Dhyaneshwari, Dasbodh, Eknathi, Bhagavad etc. in Marathi. Sri Guru Charitra is divided into three sections. They are 1. Jnana Kanda, chapter 1 to 24. 2. Karma Kanda, chapter 25 to 37. And 3. Bhakti Kanda, chapter 38 to 51. Jnana Kanda deals with the qualities to be acquired by a disciple, that is, service to Guru so that he can earn jnana. In second section, Karmakanda, he should follow the do's and don'ts told by Vedas and Shastras, by which the disciple will get steadfastness in his devotion to Guru by purifying his Antahakarna, that is, the mind. The third section, Bhakti Kanda, it teaches the final stage, Sharanagati, surrender to Guru, who assures the disciple the liberation, moksha. One can feel the experiences when he goes through chapters by chapter thoroughly. Sri Gangadhar Saraswati, the author of the book in Marathi, tells in the following lines about the resultant virtues after reading this holy book. Prosperity even lives in their dwellings, in whose house the prana is observed. In that house lives Sri Lakshmi. Only good and noble souls will take birth in their houses. There will not be diseases or troubles in that house by the grace of Sri Guru. When it is read for 7 days as Saptaha Diksha with religious discipline, all his sins will be lost without any doubt. This pure and lovable story will get their desires fulfilled without any trouble. I swear I have enjoyed this result and enjoyed the taste of this nectar. The Guru Charitra is like a Kamdhenu and Kalpavriksha and will bestow jnana. Many devotees are doing this prana in Gangapur, Aksetra near Odambar tree at Sangam and experiencing the darshan of Lord Dattatreya. Whoever organizes Samuhika Guru Charitra Prayana, their sins will disappear and their path will be cleared to moksha. Sri Guru Charitra talks of four grand proclamations for the disciples sadhana. They are Pragnam Brahma, Tattvamasi, Ayam Atma Brahma, and Aham Brahmasmi. 1. Pragnam Brahma is Guru Datta's Upadesha Vakya, the teaching of Lord Datta. It means pure awareness is Brahma. 2. Tattvamasi is Guru Datta's Adesha Vakya, commandment of Lord Datta. It means that thou art. 3. Ayamatma Brahma is Guru Datta's Abhyasa Vakya, cultivational practice code. It means the self of mine is verily Brahma. 4th, Aham Brahmasmi is Guru Datta's Anubhava Vakya. I am verily the Brahma. Samuhika Guru Charitra Parayan. All these four come about by the adoption of Guru in the Datta path. The Guru from the Anubhava gives Upadesha and Adesha. The disciple with Shraddha and Bhakti hears them both and practices Abhyasa and gains his own experience, Anubhava, which he in turn propagates. As per Bhramra Kitka Nyaya, whereby the ugly looking beetle gets metamorphosed and transfigured into the beautiful Bhramra itself, so also the Jiva, stricken with ignorance and all the afflictions of the worldly life, attains enlightenment and blossoms forth and begins to shine in his her Atmic splendor, just like his Guru through Nididhyasana on the Guru and the Guru Padesha. Suggestions. Always try to understand the following when reading a sacred text. 1. The inner artha. Artha means meaning. Why is Sri Guru saying thus? Think deeply. 2. The inner artha of the person involved. Why did Sri Guru say thus? Why did the character say thus? 3. The context, which period and to whom was it said? Which place was it said? 4. The circumstance, what made the following to occur? 5th, sacrative aspects. Some sacred texts say certain things. Sri Guru Charitra is a living embodiment of the divinity in the form of a book. We have to read with a prayerful attitude. Read with Shraddha, read with Bhakti, read with tears. The reading of Guru Charitra cleanses the mind, if not dramatically, slowly, but to some sadhakas it may happen very fast. A mere touch of Sri Guru Charitra with faith will solve your problems. Since this whole book is like a mantra by itself, it is a powerful book and should be read with some niyamas. These rules are given in the book itself. The book is to be read either in 7 days called Saptaha or in 3 days or 2 days or in one day. Lord Dattatreya will fulfill the heart's desire and the fear of the worldly existence will be destroyed. Rules to follow for Guru Charitra Parayan. 1. Begin the Prayana on a Thursday in the early morning after head bath and before breakfast. Sit on your asan seat for prayer after quickly completing your usual morning routine. Before starting to read, take clean bath every day. Head bath is mandatory for all the days of Prayana. 2. Clear and clean the area where you will sit to read this, and the book must be read at the same place daily. 3. Never place the sacred book on the ground, and it should be closed after the reading is done. 4th. While reading, do not talk with others and do not attend any phone calls, and have your complete focus and concentration on the book, which is as good as you are talking with Lord Datta Prabhu himself. 5. Brahmacharya is a must and avoid non-vegetarian foods during the period of Saptahika. 6. Sleep on the floor during this period of reading, no cozy bedding, etc. 7. One time meal in the afternoon and may take fruits tiffin in the night time. 8. Facing the east and keeping the image of the Lord in the heart. Do the recitation of the book with a calm mind and with joy. 9. Making an image of Lord Dattatreya or taking a beautiful picture of him, place it carefully on the high platform, make obeisance to him with love. 10. After worshipping the Lord Ganesha, perform grand puja with arti. Then worship Lord Dattatreya with Pancha Upachar. Commence the reading. Pancha Upcharj or 5 Upcharj refer to number 1 Gandha, Chandana, 2 Pushpa, flower, 3 Dhupa, incense, 4 Deepa, lamp, and Naivedya, food. 11. One has to complete the chapters at a stretch as prescribed for each day in the morning itself in the same asana. 12. Offer sugar candy, any fruit or sweet pongal as Naivedya and Arti to Gandha and Lord Dattatreya. After completion of day prayana, tying the book in a silken cloth and place it near the image. Don't give the book for any purpose to anyone during the prayana period. 13. Offer any fruits, food item, whatever available to the guest, whoever comes to home During the Prayana period, they feel that he is Datta Guru with a inner recitation of Jai Guru Deva Datta. It is a must to give dakshina to the person whoever comes for alms outside the house. 14. After the end of Saptaha, puja of the book is to be performed. On the eighth day, offering of Naivedya to Lord Dattatreya, feed friends, relatives, and Sad Brahmins, sadhus, and give dakshina to them to the best of one's ability. Finally, after doing obeisance at one's guru's feet, offer him appropriate dakshina or send it to some good datta temple. The purpose of dakshina is to lose one's material clingings to money and to aid in karmic removal. Lord Dattatreya will be gratified hereby and he will bless the devotee. Prescribed chapters for the Saptaha Prayana. A 7-day Saptaha means you begin reading on a Thursday and end it on a Wednesday. The sequence of reading is as follows. पहला दिवस अभ्यास अध्याय 1 से 9, दूसरा दिवस अध्याय 10 से 21, तीसरा दिवस अभ्यास 22 से 29, चौथा दिवस अध्याय 30 से 35, पांचवा दिवस अध्याय 36 से 38, सहस्वा दिवस अध्याय 39 से 45, 43, सातवां दिवस अध्याय 44 से 53। Sri Guru Charitra is life story of Sri Narsimha Saraswati Swami Maharaj, 1378 to 1458. That means he was born in the year 1378 and took Mahasamadhi in 1458. An incarnation of Sri Adi Guru Dattatreya was written in the 15th century, originally written in Marathi in OV form, a form of poetry by Sri Saraswati Gangadhar, whose ancestor Samdev had personally lived and served with devotion Guru Narsimha Saraswati about 600 years ago. It was later translated into Sanskrit by Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati Aka Tembe Swami 1854 to 1914, who is regarded as an incarnation of Sri Dattatreya and who lived about 100 years ago. It has been later translated into several other languages. Sri Guru Charitra imparts us a way of life and guides us to go ahead on the path of self-emancipation by making our lives sublime and full of highest bliss. The original volume contains 52 chapters and it is written in the form of conversation between Namdharka, a devotee, and his spiritual guru Sri Siddhamuni, who was a disciple of Sri Narsimha Saraswati. The main aim of the book is to extol the greatness of the spiritual preceptor guru and to dispel the ignorant notion that he is just another human. A strict routine observing control on thoughts and action is needed while reading Guru Charitra. To simplify this requirement, Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati summarized Guru Charitra in Sri Saptasati Guru Charitra Sar 1904 so that it can be conveniently read or listened to by all. Sri Mahaprabhamsa Privrajkacharya Sri Madhvasudevananda Saraswati Virachit Sri Saptasati Guru Charitra Sar has 51 chapters of 700 verses in Marathi. The beauty of the Sri Saptasati Sar is if we follow and read every third letter Aksar vertically, it gives bliss of reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 Purushottama Yoga. Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati took Samadhi into the Narmada river and his Samadhi is situated at Gurudeswar, Gujarat on the banks of the Narmada river. In his last message, Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati conveyed on worshipping Sri Adi Guru Dattatreya to understand and realize the essence and primary objective of human life is to obtain liberation from the recurring cycles of birth and death and to lead to the control and balance of mind so essential for the next step of sadhana which study, adhyan and sarvan, contemplation, chintan and manan and meditation, nididhyasana of Vedanta, conclusion of Vedas, surrendering completely to the Supreme Entity. As a backdrop to the marvelous account of the avatars of Lord Dattatreya, Sri Guru Charitra presents a comprehensive resume of the whole of ancient Indian philosophy of life. It envisages human life as a search for lasting contentment, peace, and bliss, and as a struggle for complete unfoldment of its vast spiritual potential. All of man's endeavors drive ultimately from this aspiration. Many fail to realize these goals in life owing to lack of proper understanding of man's innate nature and his relationship to the rest of all existence, of which human life is but one manifestation. Only when man understands the nature of material universe as the manifestation of the one universal spirit and accordingly orients his life to it at the three levels of understandings, word and deed, and can he hope to attain his goal. Those who succeeded in accomplishing this task have, out of their spontaneous compassion for suffering humanity, enjoined a way of making all of one's life a single minded pursuit of this goal, molding all of one's natural instinctive drives to contribute to its realization. Thus, the proper way of life is viewed as one continuous sacrament and ritual made up of a series of such befitting the various stages of human life. Such a view of life derives from a direct experience of the spiritual process that underlies the nature of all existence from moment to moment gained by the enlightened ones. Ancient wisdom views the first cause as the nameless, formless, universal consciousness or the spirit. The fundamental nature of this universal consciousness is to manifest the alternating states of activity and rest. The pure spirit was called the Brahma. Its dynamic aspect is called Prakriti. The whole of nature we see around us, from the distant nebulae and galaxies down to the smallest particles and fields of modern physics, constitutes Prakriti and its play. At the end of every active phase comes the state of total dissolution of all material existence, and the two states are figuratively described as the sleep and wakefulness of Brahma, the creator. In these are involved many subphases or cycles of time called kalpas, each bearing its own name. For instance, the present one is called the Savetarvaraha Kalpa, literally the Kalpa of the white boar. Each Kalpa is subdivided into Manvantras, each having its own universal lawgiver or Manu. Each Manvantara is again subdivided into the sequence of four yugas, of which there is a definition in Sri Guru Charitra. At every phase of total dissolution or Parlaya, all the living creatures and all other aspects of the previous active phase of material existence are said to recede into a dormant state in a subtle form. Just as all our feelings, thoughts, and knowledge lie dormant in our individual consciousness during deep sleep, when we wake up, all these re-emerged into manifestation. So does it happen with the re- recommencement of the active phase of the universal spirit. Every active phase of the universal consciousness is said to begin as a stir in the divine will. The world, as the Bible puts it, to manifest himself as the many. According to Indian scriptures, the first to be created are spiritual principles called the four Brahma Mansa Putras, the spiritual offspring of Brahma, the creator who chose to remain forever as such, that is, as fully enlightened sages and not get entangled in the next phase of the active cycle were projected the Prajapatis, the progenitors of material creation and living creatures, and sages like Atri who willingly chose to further the divine plan of creation. Then were projected the various conscious forces in nature described as gods by the Vedas. The rest of the material creation is a product of the collective harmonious functioning of these conscious principles. Described as the yagna, the whole of the active phase or prakriti is characterized by three modes of functioning of the cosmic energy, sattva, rajas, and tamas, which can be described as harmony, activity, and confusion. After the evolution of the material universe, including the earth with all its flora and fauna, sages like Atri manifested themselves on earth in human forms and propagated knowledge of the fundamental creative processes among mankind. This body of knowledge is the Veda, which later came to be classified into four Vedas. The sages also tried to impart all this knowledge to as many as possible through religious philosophy, metaphysics, and ritual. The whole process of creation, of which man is a part, was presented as a spontaneous, joyful, creative process of self fulfilling activity with no other aim or goal. Man can live in harmony with the rest of creation and with his own self, which is basically a manifestation of the cosmic or universal process to the extent that he grows in this realization, and he can thus transcend all those narrow selfish concerns which shut out such understanding and which are in their turn products of lack of such an understanding. Guru and disciple, as such, man with the help of this understanding has to inform and mold his every thought, word, and deed with the urge to realize this wisdom. That is, understanding molds thought, word, and deed. Cultured thoughts, words, and deeds actualize his understanding and thereby perfect it. Thus, in the form of a chain reaction, man enters the real, relentless stream of divine creation towards self harmonization and perfection, freeing himself from the cocoon of petty selfish drives or needs that are projected as cultural and legitimate by his limited, clouded view of creation. The latter is a blurred, distorted image obtained through the sense medium of his wrong understanding, or more correctly, no understanding. When one realizes this harmonization with the rest of creation, the basic disharmony with himself implied by his former concept of the discreteness, distinctness of his own self, other selves, and things is dissolved, and he realizes the unity that is the essence of the seeming diversity of forms. Such a one perceives the misery of others as remnants of disharmony of his own self and strives to resolve it, resolve it while from the strength of his own perfection he knows that there are in fact no others to be saved from misery. Such a one is called the Guru, the teacher that can make all our life struggle for lasting contentment and bliss worth the game. Without him, the immense creation and one's own disharmonious life together seems an ocean of misery of phenomenal existence. With this help, it is an ocean of the bliss of self realization. Anyone who knows or intuits this too bound to love the Guru, his heart strength with which he had hitherto loved wealth, his wife, and all else separately, is now put together in adoration of the Master. It is on this basis that Sri Guru Charitra may be termed the glorification of the Guru, who is the truth, the way, and the life, and is worthy of being loved with all the strength of one's soul and heart, as the Christ puts it. The proper conduct of a true disciple to the Guru, as depicted in the stories of Sri Guru Charitra, would seem childish forms of self enslavement if this truth is not understood. The details of a disciple's conduct are not something which can be formally implemented, but they constitute the spontaneous experience of love. The joy of such love consists in acting it out, living it out. It is not the veneration of an individual called the Guru, it is the spontaneous realization of the essence of the Guru. It is wisdom in action that is the ultimate object of one's own life's struggle. In short, only such a one is disciple, and to him the Guru is all the gods, all the holy places, and the rest. What his own life cannot give him, he is sure that the Guru can, and hence the latter is dearer than the former than his own life. Do not human beings stake their lives for love, wealth, and fame, etc., which cannot promise as much? However, it is not everyone that can blossom into such a state of perfection, either of discipleship or guruhood. They are always a handful, like the most eminent scientists, poets, or national leader. Guruhood is the fruit of perfection in discipleship, and ideal discipleship is itself a fruit of much preparation and endeavor to ensure these to the best possible extent for the largest number. The stages have enjoined a scheme of life. The growing boy and girl also in Vedic times, even before his mind is caught up in the web of natural impulses born of wrong understanding, is left in the care of a learned man whose understanding was already stabilized enough to strive for the sole object of self realization. This was called Upnayana, and it was performed between the ages of 7 and 9 years. For about 10-12 years, the growing boy leads a life of strict discipline of body, mind, and conduct, and prepares himself to lead a life as a continuous sacrament aimed at achieving perfection. Those who gain unusual development among such brahmacharis celebrates are permitted to renounce all worldly ties and pursuits immediately, and to dedicate themselves wholly to the task of self realization in the service of a Sadguru or a perfect master. Others are advised to accept their unpreparedness for the task, realize, realistically, and marry girls who too were trained to cooperate with these in leading the ideal domestic life. The so-called arranged marriages are the relics of this tradition. Other forms of marriage, like the one by mutual choice of the partners, Gandharva Vivaha, too were allowed, though the former was preferred. In Vedic times, so say some Smriti law text, Upanena was enjoined for girls too, owing to the growing demands on domestic life of the girls. This seems to have gone out of use. Subsequently, the girls of 8 to 10 years was married to a youth so trained, and he was to be her guru, guide, philosopher, friend, and lover in one. The ideal of a wife thus came to be a replica of the guru-disciple relationship as described earlier. We can see the parallelism between the ways of life enjoined on a disciple and on an ideal wife. Pativarta briefly in Sri Guru Charitra, and more elaborately in the Puranas and Smriti text. The total love that developed between so perfectly matched pairs was that when the husband died, the wife found life so worthless that she preferred to immolate herself on the funeral pyre of her husband's body. Sati Sahagmana. The inner feeling of self-dedication impels such an act and ensures her the very best of spiritual states after death. Later, this custom degenerated into a mere matter of family pride when, in the Modern age society has come very benignly to prohibit the practice, but even this sati sahagamana is said to be inferior to the ideal of love relationship in which even the very knowledge of the husband's death led to the spontaneous and instantaneous death of the loving wife too. In its turn, this too was considered inferior to that power of woman's loving faith which could revive her deceased husband as depicted in the stories of Savitri and Satyavantha. The implication is that just an ideal disciple, by the power of his devotion to and faith in the Guru as the divine trinity in one supernatural powers, a Pativarta too can win the same state by similar loving faith in her husband. As the husband was trained by his guru already in the right way of life, he is considered the lawgiver to his wife who pursues the same goal of life. As her sons too would be similarly trained, she is expected to be under their care if her husband dies earlier than she, that is, if she cannot opt for sati sahagamana. Ultimately, it is God as Guru that saves the ideally trained man, and God as her husband saves an ideal housewife. Hence, it is specifically stated that a genuine spiritual teacher should initiate a woman only through her husband. This idea is implied when Sri Guru Charitra enjoins a woman to so rever her husband even if in consequence of her misdeeds in a previous life she were to obtain a husband who is wicked and cruel in this life. The same is implied when Sri Guru admonishes a seeker that forsook his Guru for being what seemed to him to be cruel and exacting. Besides, Sri Guru says to the said disciple that it is a sin even to see that face of one who forsakes his Guru, for it shows the latter's unworthiness. So too a widow came to be looked upon as an omen of ill luck in the Indian society, for it was believed that her violation of the sanctity of marriage in some way in her previous life is responsible for her unfortunate condition in the present life. This might in fact be a device to ensure that a young widow takes all precautions to see that her own devotion to her late husband does not waver through free mingling with man and woman. The life of a widow is like that of a sannyasi, total dedication to spiritual endeavor. Only the latter lives under the care of her sons or brothers, while the former wanders homeless. Such a plan of life enables man to see through the lure of instinctive drives and to qualify for the guidance of a Sadguru. It takes many lives to perfect it, and most of us fall off almost every turn. The Sadguru preserves through a lie of them to draw us again on to the path. This truth has been amply affirmed by even modern saints like Sai Baba of Shirdi and Swami Samarth of Akkalkot, the two latest avatars of Lord Dattatreya. Sri Guru Charitra affirms the caste system of the Veda. Thus, Veda views the society as an organism which naturally produces groups of individuals with different aptitudes and abilities so that each group can function like a specialized organ for the well-being of the whole. But as man is endowed with intelligence, Playing his legitimate part in the life of the total system involves deliberate choice and discipline under the guidance of the sages. This ensures further development of the individual's abilities, which is imperative for his spiritual perfection. On the other hand, whenever faith in the system flags, the individuals attached fanciful values to certain occupations and scramble for them. In the ensuing struggle, the earlier identification of their groups with their names too of caste plays havoc as it is now doing in India. To ensure against such decay, each of the caste was taught its own dharma, its values, and its relation to the dharma of the others. The Sudra who serves the other three castes and enables them to function effectively is the foot on which the social organism or the collective soul stands, and hence devout Hindus bow to the feet of the Lord Vaishya. The producer and trader of all goods and grain depends immediately upon the Sudra. So he corresponds to the things of the Lord. The Kshatriya who guards law and order within the society and produces it from external aggression is said to have originated from the arms of the Lord. The Brahmin is the guardian of all branches of knowledge and their grand synthesis in the wisdom of the self Brahma. He, like the theoretician in the Marxist society, guides the material and the spiritual pursuits of the society in strict harmony and ensures that neither of them encroaches upon the other. The first three ashrams are the bedrock on which the fourth one stands and to which they lead. Like all organisms, the social system too decays in time despite all care. The direction of change is from its pristine state in the Krita Yuga to its total decay in the Kali Yuga. All through the collective life forces strive its best to arrest and delay the process of social decay and repeatedly attempts to restore it as far as possible. The collective soul of mankind manifests itself as repeatedly the spiritual masters, the gurus to redefine tradition and to correct the aberrations of dogmatism. So did the Christ for the Jewish law and Muhammad for the Arab law. Thus, the Smriti text enjoin strict adherence to their dictates in general. They specifically state that the instructions of a perfect sage have precedence when one can find such. So too regarding the implementation of the law, and one is told to follow the practice of the wise as the model, yet human nature being a part of the natural phenomenon of decay, we find orthodoxy fanatically adhering to its own forms of inhumanity in the name of sacred law, in spite of what the gurus and traditional texts teach them. To counter this trend, the sages strengthen the faith and wisdom in the hearts of individuals that they practice religious rites and rituals like yagnas and vartas is an essential part of karma or righteous action intended to nullify the defects of past misdeeds and ensure proper motivation for right action in the future birth. The assurance of Sri Guru that he would forever abide at Gangapur and go round the village for bhiksha at noon is literally true even today. It is customary for devotees visiting the holy place to go for bhiksha too. On my second visit to the place in 1975, while partaking of its under a tree, I remarked I remarked to a South Indian sadhu who sat by me that Sri Guru's eternal presence might be a well-meant fabrication. At first he seemed to doubt whether it would be worth the while to try to enlighten me. Later his attitude changed. He said, "Listen, I have been visiting this place for a few decades. Once, as I was devoutly reading Sri Guru Charitra at the Sangama, I suddenly felt that I should try to recognize him someday when he comes for bhiksha and seek his blessing. Accordingly, I studied the holy book with ever greater zeal. At the same time, I began to observe every devotee that arrived there on days when visitors were the fewest, so that I can identify any other form in which Sri Guru might turn up for bhiksha. Day by day, my expectation grew up to a high pitch. When at last it was like an ecstasy that gripped my being throughout the day. One night Sri Guru appeared in my dream like a pious Brahmin and said in stern voice, "Fellow, don't try to catch me amidst the crowd of the visiting devotees. It is my secret and it does not behove you to prove it." The next minute I woke up and reflected on the dream. I could vividly remember that despite his form and appearance, I was sure that he was Sri Guru. Evidently, my jealous prayer and trial have evoked a response from him. Having come thus far in my effort, should I relent? I decided to press on till I could achieve my object. Strangely enough, from that day onwards, I never again experienced that sense of his presence which swayed my whole being earlier. I was only quietly happy and assured that I was in sight of my success. One day, the devotees at Gangapur were unusually fewer, and it was my best opportunity to observe and note them individually. At about 7:30 a.m., the moment I finished my dip in the river and came on the bank, I had a severe headache and high fever. I was feeling giddy and extremely weak. At once, I lay down under a tree and fell asleep. When I woke up at about 3 p.m., I was quite well and hungry. It was long past the hour of bhiksha. Yet as it was vowed to live only on bhiksha, I at once proceeded to a few houses and called out for the same. At all the places I was told that they had nothing left to give me. At one house, when I doggedly pleaded, the master of the house was furious and said, "You seem to have come here only to fill your belly, you worthless sadhu. When you came for the noon bhiksha, I gave you a roti." I protested that I did not come for bhiksha that day at all, but a few passers-by confirmed that the man's accusation. I had to give in and I quietly walked away, crestfallen and weak. I knew that something had happened that I should face such a ridiculous situation. That evening I felt weak and lost all my appetite and slept very early. Again the same Brahmin appeared in my dream. Amidst laughter he was telling his companions how he had fooled me. At last he said to me, "Yesterday, as you were asleep, I went in your form for bhiksha. Henceforth I gave up my foolish attempt. Now I know that Sri Guru is here and is quite responsive." The sadhu met me the next day and incidentally told me that a few decades ago the priest at the mutt on the eve of an important festival were cleaning the padukas of Sri Guru with water and coconut fiber. The latter contained a small piece of coconut shell. When the priest rubbed a little hard, there was a scratch on one of the padukas and blood oozed out of it. The priests were all quite scared and tried their best to stop it, but in vain. They panicked and sent word to His Holiness Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati, who was then camping nearby. The Holy One rushed to the mutt, and when he chanted a few verses glorifying Sri Guru, the bleeding stopped. Would the Padukas bleed again if I asked? Perhaps they would if the Lord chooses to bless you with such an experience. The sadhu replied, indeed, experiences are personal and cannot be thus argued about. If we have such an experience, would it suffice another? Should we not put our hand to the flow and never turn back? To spiritual aspirants, identifying and contacting a Sadguru, a perfect master, is the crux of problem of spiritual evolution of man, both collective and individual, especially in the present times, when the mass media and fanfare have spiritual evolution of man, both collective and individual, especially in the present times when the mass media and fanfare have made it more of a craze than a serious pursuit. Yet, fortunately for the serious minded, there is a hope and a clear way. The devout study of Sri Guru Charitra. The phenomenon is analogous to that of remote control, initially leading to immediate personal contact. A gadget must be capable of receiving the remote commands the seeker to has to evolve in himself some potential which can respond positively to the subtle, all pervasive spiritual field of the master. The study of Sri Guru Charitra does just this for us. The study of Sri Guru Charitra focuses our inherently extravert awareness on that spiritual potential in us of which Sri Guru is an objective manifestation, an archetype, a sort of reflector of our awareness onto its original self. As we persevere diligently, our awareness gets oriented to His presence every moment of our life. At one stage, the message is strong and unmistakable. The goal, the perfect master, is sighted in His perpetual immediate presence. Our potential matures, and the seeker and the sought becomes one. Till then, Sri Guru Charitra is the master, this and of this innate type, and such a one never proclaims himself to the world. For him there is no world apart from his master, no seeking for disciples, and no need of constant reassurance of his credentials to anyone. The path may seem too long for some, but if one is genuinely interested in it, the pleasure of it is the journey. Only such a one reaches the goal, for it is not an outward journey with spatial and temporal implication, but is an inward ripening. The fruit ripens through contact with the tree. The proper method of studying this text is to begin it on a Thursday and to conduct it as below. Keep a Beautiful picture of Sri Dattatreya and or of Sri Guru. Offer a light or a candle. Josh takes flowers and sandal paste. Invoke his presence by chanting the verse in praise of the Guru. That is Guru Brahma, meaning Guru is the creator Brahma, the preserver Vishnu, and the annihilator Maheswara. Guru is the Absolute Himself. Adorations to such a Guru. Then offer a few pieces of candy to him. Then read the book as follows. The first day 7 chapters, second and third days 4 chapters each, and thereafter 2 chapters per day. On the concluding day, feed 3 or at least one pious Brahmin sadhu or a poor man. We must look upon him as the form of Sri Guru. We keep reading like this over and over again. One may read it once in 3 days or even a day, ardently seeking his guidance. Thank you, dear friends, watching this video. Before we start some holy task, we must know all about the task we are going to perform. So I made this video so that you may have the firm and confirmed idea that you will be benefited spiritually by going through the reading of this holy book. Thank you. Namaste.